Reawakening. Like daily life, our nightly dreams can sometimes be complicated. Well, oftentimes we have to totally deconstruct our sleep time stories before we can see the key parts of the big picture. And we're going to do that yet again on Reawakening, the dream interpretation and spiritual life coaching podcast with Yvonne Reba. I'm your host, Chris Mann. And once more, Yvonne checks in with one of her clients and gets a lengthy and seemingly incongruous dream with a lot of different parts that Yvonne breaks down and essentially determines that the dreamer was losing energy in her life. She was leaking energy. It was stolen energy in the form in the dream of stolen and shrinking money, a wrecked truck, a lot of other symbolism. Yvonne looks at it piece by piece and then puts together the big picture so that you can do that with your own dreams. So let's check in with her once more. Hi there, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Chris. Thank you.
Great. Well, here we are already in February. And where did January go?
Oh, so quickly.
Do you have any dreams from any of your clients that you can share with us yet again?
Yes, I do.
Great.
I have quite a long, involved dream this time. Last time it was short. But this is one of those dreams where people say, well, I had this rubbishy dream, and it didn't seem to mean anything, but I can't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
Well, this particular dream, which she had written out when she had woken up in bed, and she put it in her journal, and then she photographed the journal pages and emailed them to me.
Okay.
So I had to go through and decipher it, which was interesting. So I'm going to tell you the gist of this dream in my own words.
Okay.
So, in the dream, first of all, she's in a river, and there are the coolest animals, she said, in the river. And then suddenly, there is a woman, and this woman starts to talk to her, and then she snatches her money away from her. And she had $85. That's the number that was mentioned. And this woman takes the money and runs away, and she sets off after her. She then appears, there's a house in front of her, so she races into the house after this woman. And she goes through a room that seems to be filled with children, although the children don't seem to pay any attention to her. And she says that to her, she felt that these children were mentally challenged in some way. They were underdeveloped. There was something not quite right about them for a start, and not very communicative. She didn't think she could get through to them. Anyway, so she's running through the house, and she just ran through this room with these children, and that was it. And then she's still after this woman. She goes into a bedroom, and she's looking under the bed, where she finds some of the money. It's all crumpled up. And she'd said that she was going to call for the police for this woman. The woman said, no, I'll give you the money back, but she didn't. She'd run off and into the house.
Okay.
So, like clients, then gets, I think, about half of the money. She found $40, but it was all crumpled up, and then this policeman appears. Now, he doesn't seem to do anything at this point. He just shows up. And that often happens in a dream. Somebody shows up in the dream, and then they seem to disappear, and you wonder what on earth they were doing there in the first place.
Right.
But they do have a meaning, right? Now, I'll explain that later on.
Okay.
Now, about this time, she seems to be outside again. We're all over the place here. We're in the river, we're in a house, and now we're outside. And her husband and his friends are all talking and getting on with doing what they do. They're all talking about what they're working at and so on. They're not paying a lot of attention to her. And then her truck, which is outside, takes off. Now, I'm not sure if somebody's in the truck or not. They never mentioned. But the truck starts off going down the hill, and she has a horse that she jumps onto. And in real life, she does have a horse, by the way. And she races after this truck to try and get it before it has an accident.
Wow.
So, unfortunately, she can't get to it in time. It does get wrecked. It tops over and it gets dented.
A lot of different things happening in this dream.
Yeah, one crisis after another.
Yeah.
So when she's back again, and there's a husband with the friends, and they're on a dais, some kind of raised platform. Again, they're all very animatedly talking to each other and getting on doing stuff, whatever they're doing, but not paying any attention to her. And she's below them, looking up at them. And there's a policeman appears about this time again. But just as the policeman shows up, she wakes up. Okay. And that's it. So she said, well, this dream stayed with her.
Yeah.
And she couldn't figure it out. She thought it was the weirdest thing. and wanted me to try and help her to figure out what it was about, because she knew it was trying to tell her something, but what, she wasn't sure.
But what? Exactly, yeah.
So I went through the whole dream, which is when you get a dream like this, and I recommend this for everybody, do not try and work it out in one big lump, as it were. Pick out all the relevant details that are mentioned and work out what each one means, and then, like a jigsaw, put them together to create a picture.
I see.
Until you get the picture, okay? So let's go back to the beginning, and I will tell you what I wrote back to her.
Great.
Okay, so first we're in a river, all right, and which there were the coolest animals, and I'm using her words, coolest animals. She didn't say what they were, which I wish she had if she'd known, but the animals often refer to the part of us that we identify with the animals. So that a dog often represents loyalty, faithful creatures, and so on. Of course, if you got bitten by a dog at some point, then it could be something else.
Right.
And you have to know what your dream dictionary, your personal dictionary says about each animal, because we all have different feelings for different things.
Sure.
The river is life. We're all in this river. You remember that, I think it's Abraham Hicks, often talks about in the river, going downstream. Don't try to go upstream.
Go with
You're
the
going
flow.
against the current of life. Don't try and battle your way to something and give yourself a lot of problems.
Sure.
Just let the river take you where you need to go. So that was the first thing. It's telling her that this is what her life is about, this whole dream. And the coolest animals are a part of her life that she's very happy with. I mean, the animalistic side of our lives is the physical side usually. So, our sexual life, our exercise that we take, our whatever it is we do for a living sometimes, all of that kind of thing could come into that. It's up to you to figure it out. Now, suddenly a woman appears. Now, women, if you don't have a particular woman, like your mother, your grandmother, your best friend, whoever, somebody who's not involved in your life at the moment, or some kind of anonymous female shows up, it's probably about you. It's probably your female side.
Okay.
Both men and women have male and female sides.
Energies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Energies. Hey, hormones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what it's all about. Men might not realize it, but they have female hormones inside of them just the same as women have male ones.
Right.
And as we get to menopause, women discover that their male sides start to come out a bit more. And we start getting hair on our face and stuff like that. But, it's kind of like that's a challenge. Anyway, this woman starts to talk to her, and then she steals her money. She has $85, okay? And this woman takes this money and then runs off. She runs after her and said she's going to call the police. The woman says, no, don't do that. I'll give you your money back. But she doesn't. She kind of disappears into this house, and my client is running after her. So to me, the money becomes energy in dreams very, very often. It isn't really about money. It's about what money represents to us. And this dream is about her physical energy. It's about her body, really. It's about the energy that she's got. She's got $85. Now, the 85 could represent something that I'm not aware of.
Right.
Because we all have, as I said, our own dream dictionary, and numbers can be representative of something. It could be the year we're born, the year we got married. 85 could be a lot of stuff.
Sure.
So I don't know. That would be up to her to figure out. But it doesn't matter too much, because what I'm getting is that this woman has stolen her energy, all right? So this part of her is stealing energy from what it needs to be. She's wasting energy or leaking energy in some way. Now, in the house that she runs into after the thief who stole her money, she comes into a room that's filled with children. These children, she knows, although she doesn't have anything much to do with them, but she knows they're kind of mentally challenged. In some ways, they're just not clued in. They're underdeveloped. Their minds are underdeveloped. They're stunted themselves. They're not growing properly. She notices that. She doesn't have much to do with them. She runs through the house. And again, the house is your life. It's you. It can refer to your body. If you're in the kitchen, like I said, it's a place where you are connected to the center of everything, because that's where we cook our food, where we eat. It's what keeps us going.
Right.
If you're in the attic is the top of the house, would represent the head, if you like, but it's usually where we store our memories, okay? Attics are places where we keep all our old stuff, the chest, the photographs, and all that kind of thing. We get shoved up in the attic,
right,
or wherever. And so that represents memories and things like that. But anyway, here she is running around this house, and she finds this woman, somehow she's looking under this bed. Now remember, there's no logic in a dream. Suddenly we're looking under a bed for this money. She sees the money under the bed and it's all crumpled up. And then a man appears. He's a policeman. He doesn't seem to do anything. He just shows up. Now, when you get an authority figure in a dream, like the police, doctors, soldiers, usually people in uniform who have some authority.
Right.
They represent your higher self. The authority figure, a part of you that's trying to tell you what to do, okay? Keeping you on the right track, obeying the law, as it were.
Law and order, yeah.
Yeah, the law here is not so much our legal system as the law of the universe. And the universal law, a lot of people call it, the law of attraction.
Right.
It's a big thing that came out in The Secret some years ago.
Which is what you vibrate, you get.
Yes, that's right. What you focus on is what you get in your life, and so on. So this policeman, who doesn't seem to do much, but he shows up, is there when she gets her money. She gets it all crumpled up, and when she counts it, it's only $40, which means it's half of what it was, less than half.
Right.
So, again, what is that about? Well, if this is her energy, it means that this rather fruitless search and chase after this woman to get her money has only given her back half of what she should have. So a lot of it has been wasted or leaked away in some way. And the cop that shows up is up at the highest top saying, you need to pay attention here. You need to pay attention to the law of the universe, the universal law. That, you've got a body, you need to look after it.
Right.
If you don't, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Right.
We have to put priorities on things, and making sure that we look after ourselves is one of them. And if we're doing something that hurts our body or that is leaking energy in a way that's not good for us,
right.
It's one thing to leak energy when you're exercising and doing something good for yourself, but wasting it on something else that's trivial or ill-advised is not any use to anybody.
That's right.
So, here we change the scene again. We have a truck, okay? Now, she does have a truck. Vehicles in dreams, these are universal symbols everybody has. The truck is your body. It's the vehicle that you get inside. The spiritual part of you is inside of your body, guiding it through wherever it's going, getting on the pathway, on the road, making you get to where you need to be. However, this truck takes off without anybody in it, I think. She never said exactly. I don't think she realized or saw in the dream what was going on. But this truck, she then has to get on a horse and race after it to try and prevent it from getting into a wreck.
Right.
Unfortunately, she didn't get to it in time, and the truck gets wrecked and dented. Now, horses, there's the animal side again. Horses being a spiritual creature, a spirited creature, we represent that, we think of that as a spiritual creature. That's her spiritual side trying to prevent the physical body from getting into a wreck or wrecking itself. Getting dented, heavens, we can get the message here. You've got to behave, you've got to do something about this, otherwise you're going to be getting into a problem, being sick for a start.
Yes.
Okay, so now she's back at the ranch, I suppose, where her husband is, with all these guys that they're all friends, talking about their business and probably having barbecue or whatever they're doing, and they're not paying attention to it. And they're on this raised platform, this dais, and she is therefore looking up at them because she's below them. So that would mean she feels on a different level. She feels that they're happy. They're all animatedly talking about things. They're involved. They've got their own agenda.
Uh-huh.
And she is feeling a bit out of it and a bit ignored.
Right.
The policeman shows up again, just as she wakes up. The policeman shows up, and then she comes awake. And that's the end of the dream. So I said to her, and this is what I wrote at the end. So to me, this dream is a message telling you that you're trying to do too much and spending a lot of time on energy on some things or people who are not in tune with you.
Right.
Now, often that can be they don't have the same belief system, so you can't talk in a kind of a normal way with people because they're very judgmental about what you're doing, or they're ignorant about what you're doing, or they don't care. It depends, but you're not getting anywhere with them. I said, you need to set priorities, and you need to communicate more with your husband about your feelings, too. The friends in the dream may be real friends, or they may be aspects of his life where he's very busy with these particular concerns. Let me know what you think, and if you want to call, let me know a time. Well, she did. She called me, and we talked more at length, and she filled me in on some of the details that I hadn't known beforehand, which is always very worthwhile for me.
Right.
So she said she had only been married just 2 or 3 years at the most to this guy. They were very happy. They had 2 kind of homes. They do have horses and so on. So she has the outdoor life, but she also has a job in an office. She doesn't go in every day. She only goes in 2 or 3 days a week, but it's quite a trek. And not only that, but some of the people are not very nice. Has a hard time with the kind of thing where they're passive-aggressive, they don't talk.
Oh, yes.
Can be a bit of a snobby type of thing. I mean, it's just they're not getting along, okay? They're just not in tune with her.
And those people will suck your energy.
We
We all know this.
So I said, well, what the dream is saying is you have to rearrange the way things are. Otherwise, you're going to get sick. If you're expending too much energy on something that's not paying you back, it's one thing to earn money at a job, but if the job is going to destroy your health and your peace of mind, wear you down so that you haven't got the energy to enjoy life with your husband and his friends, and the dream is telling her that all the way through. The dream is saying, the money is stolen. She only gets half of it back, and then it's crumpled up. All of this is saying, this is your life. You're not getting the value out of your experiences that you need to be happy.
Right.
Part of you is happy, and one half of her life is doing okay. But she needs to talk to her husband more about things because she's been an independent person, a very strong woman, very intelligent, creative, a wonderful person to be around. However, she's got sucked into this job thing where she said, I want to change my job. We've come to that conclusion at the end. She said, I really need to. And I said, well, that's what you have to focus on now. You need to start looking at changing your job because it's wearing you down. And at first you didn't notice it so much, but you've got a long journey to get there. You dread going in. When you're there, you hate it. You like the actual work, but the surroundings are draining you. You're leaking energy into it. So this is a lesson, and the dream is saying, look, if you don't want this truck to get dented and have a wreck, if you don't want your body to be hurt, pay attention to your authority figure. That's your higher self, your spiritual side, which is saying we need to look at this and we need to change it. And we need to talk to your husband. You need to get on that level and tell him that you're not very happy with your work. The man is crazy about her. I'm sure he'd be very supportive.
Yes.
But, some people they've been independent a long time and they hate to give that feeling up.
Yes.
And asking sometimes for somebody else's opinion even. See, I am a safe person. I'm not terribly involved with her life.
Right.
I know her and I like her, but I don't see her for years at a time. We just email and talk on the phone. So I'm a safe person to explain these things to. Not the same thing when it comes to talking to your partner, your spouse, or whatever.
Sure.
So that was the dream, and she thought it was exactly as she felt. And
Great.
she gave me really good feedback on it and was very happy with the whole thing. So she has gone off with a plan on how to make her life a better life, which is what the whole thing about dream interpretation is. That's what it's for.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you were able to take all of these seemingly sometimes disparate elements and chaos and one thing and another, and you looked at them individually and then you put them together as a whole to let her see what these dreams, these symbols were telling her about her life so that she can make adjustments and I think economize her energy. We all need to sort of economize our energy and not give it away, not let it get stolen and leaked out. And communicating with her spouse is one way to, I think, economize so that there aren't these misunderstandings and these gaps and, relationships. That helps her discuss her life and not waste things on unspoken confusion or whatever. You can communicate and you can really create some order in your life, I think.
Yes, that's perfectly right. The interesting thing to me, and this woman has sent me dreams in the past, and I'm sure I've done at least one of her dreams sometime in the past. She has followed them. I mean, before she married this particular guy, who seems to be a really wonderful fellow, by the way, she had several boyfriends who did not pan out, and one in particular she had a dream about that was telling her, get rid of him out of her life. And she did. She did. And so she was open up to another person coming into her life, which was great.
Yeah.
And said to her that this man wasn't faithful, and she was picking up on it, and it turned out that was true. So, it's very interesting how the subconscious is giving us these messages with symbols and signs from, our lives to let us know what we're supposed to be doing. And if we pay attention to them, well, we're in a good place.
Once again, you pay attention to those dreams, even the ones that just seem a little bit like Keystone Cops or all over the place.
Yeah, so people would, well, that's just a messy dream.
Right.
It's just a messy dream. You're frightened of having your handbag stolen or something like that. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes you look at the truth of the thing, but this was such a long, complicated dream with many universal symbols in it.
Yes.
The river, the horse, the truck, all these things. We all dream about them at some point.
Yes.
So, yeah, very interesting.
Very interesting and very helpful. And I'm glad to hear that her feedback affirmed your interpretation and she was able to make a plan to stop leaking that energy.
Yes, that's right. That's good.
We always appreciate your energy, Yvonne.
Thank you.
What you bring into the spiritual aspect of dreaming and how that relates to the physical life. And I can't wait to hear what you have for us next in March.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Chris. Take care now.
Reawakening with Chris Mann and Yvonne Reba is a Rising Action Media production. Copyright 2016 by Chris Mann.